Hello, Flosstube.
Hi, Flosstube.
Oh, we left the light on.
Oh, well.
Turn.
Oh.
Sorry.
This one. Yeah, this
we're
is the
ready.
bad one.
Yeah, we're ready.
This is fine.
This is fine. This is, I'm Brenda. This is Handwork Maniac. I'm Handwork Maniac on Instagram. And this is...
Boss daughter.
Mhm.
Or Catherine. I'm Insanity Stitcher. Insanity_Stitcher at Instagram.
And if you are here to see Catherine's HAED finish, then you've come to the right place. But just a minute. Okay.
Done.
And welcome to everyone who is here because they're a fan of Catherine. And that's the only reason they're here. And they don't care about my channel at all.
No, they love both of us. The magic element is when we're together.
Right. We'll just have her on more often.
Yeah. We're hilarious.
We might even, maybe we'll have to change the name at some point. The joint channel of
Handwork Maniac.
And who knows who you're going to get on the next video.
Yeah.
You might, who knows? All right. We're going to go over just a couple of business items from comments and other things. The heirloom stockings that I'll show you my progress in a minute. I said were only available in this, either in the old magazines or in this book, and I found out that they are available on the Cooler Design Studio website.
That's awesome.
And you can buy just one. You don't have to buy all of them. You can just buy one stocking pattern. And they even have a couple more on there that are not on here. They have
Seriously?
a gardening one, and they have one that's like outdoor, if you're into hunting and fishing and that kind of thing. One like that.
That's really cool. In the same style and everything?
Must have been the same designer. And then also the American sampler that I showed you in my whips. That one is also available on the Cooler Design Studio. And in
Looks like it's spelled with a K.
Treasures Cooler with a K, yes. K-O-O-L-E-R, if you don't know her, if you're not familiar with her. That American sampler was also in the Treasures magazine, but it's also, I think the easiest place, if you're looking for it, would be the Cooler Design Studio website. K-O-O-L-E-R. All right, we had a couple of commenters on Catherine's fabulous How to Do a HAED video.
I'm so glad you guys liked it.
Who wanted to know how she was threading that needle. And then we had one person, Carla P., who requested that we show that live on camera. So we have Catherine is going to do that.
Yeah. Okay, hopefully you guys can see this. We're using this giant needle. Hopefully you can see that. Maybe I'll put it in front of me. And yarn so that it's easier to see. But all you do is you loop it over the needle like this, so it's hanging down like that. And then you pinch it with your fingers.
Pull it really tight.
Pull it off so that
pull it down really tight. You missed that part.
Oh. Well, what do you mean, like this?
Yeah. You have to make it sure it's tight on that needle. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. And then so you just pinch it on there, and then you pull the needle off so that you've got it between your fingers. And then you just slide the needle down in between your fingers so that that loop pops out of there, and then you can grab it like that. Is it all visible?
Awesome.
I wasn't looking. Okay. So then you have your threaded needle. And we've both been doing it I've been doing it for 20 years. You've been doing it for longer than that. So it's very
depending
effective.
on how big your floss is and how big your eye is, sometimes you have to pinch really tight and push that needle on really hard to get it to go in there. But usually it just goes right in.
I can't remember who I was talking to or if I saw a comment somewhere. Someone told me that if you flip the needle upside down. Oh, I was watching Needlebug. It was on her video. She was saying that if you flip the needle the other way, like the way that it punches, one of the sides is wider than the other one.
Well, and because they punch the hole in the needle. So the top side is going to be nice and smooth and more open. And then it's kind of pushed that metal. You can't see it, and maybe under a microscope. Yeah. The back side's going to be a little rougher and harder. So if you're having a hard time getting it in there and you're like, what is wrong? Flip it over and try the other side.
So thanks to Needlebug for that little tip.
Or buy really expensive needles that are hand, the hole is made by hand and they're all filed off and really nice. I don't do that. Awesome. Oh, someone else wanted to know what kind of needle. Same person, Carla P, I think, wanted to know what kind of needles we use. What our favorites are. My favorites are Peacemakers.
That's probably what mine are too. Whatever.
The maroon, they're in that box right there. You want to grab that?
Yeah.
Sorry, we really were prepared. We're mostly prepared.
These are the right ones.
Grab the whole box and I'll show you. So these are my favorites. And that's probably just what I had when I handed one to Catherine. So
Yep. I do whatever she does. That's how this works.
I mean, there are John James, and I have used those before.
Yeah. These are
And
good
I think
ones.
you can buy Joan James at like Joann's, Michael's.
Yes.
Peacemakers I haven't seen there. You can order them online at 123 Stitch. You can get them at my LNS in Salt Lake has them. Craft Center of Fine Stitchery.
They're good. Okay.
All right. What else are we going to make them wait to see their... on Catherine's video on how to do a HAED, which was so awesome, I was just going to mention that I didn't realize until I watched her video that we don't do them exactly the same.
Apparently we appropriated this differently.
And after 10 years, it's not surprising that after 10 years of not watching each other over each other's shoulder, we would end up doing it the way...
Something totally different.
You would tweak it the way you like, and then not realize that you're not even doing it the same anymore.
Yeah.
So Catherine, in her video, if you haven't watched her video yet, then this is not going to make sense to you. So go back and watch it, and then hear me if you want this to make sense. She's doing a 10 by 10 square, and she's doing each row. She's finishing each row before she moves on to the next row. All the colors in that row before she moves on to the next row. Except for the exceptions that she talked about in her video. And I don't do that. That would drive me nuts. I pick the first color at the top right of the square, which I think is where you start as well.
Well, your snake is all over the place. You always
I mean,
go a
like
different
just
direction.
within a 10 by 10 square, aren't you usually starting at the top? Oh, you might be starting at the top left. Is that what
You
you're
might
saying?
be, because if you're working to the
way you
left,
did it.
then you'd be starting at the top right. But if the way that I do it, I was going left
It
to
would
right.
just depend.
So I
Oh,
was on
okay. So you were right. Okay. Whatever the first color is you're choosing, whatever your way is, the first color I pick up, I do all the squares of that color in that 10 by 10 square. And yes, I'm carrying that thread across the back to wherever the next stitch is. I don't care. Because I was teasing Catherine and going, come on, a 10 by 10 square on 25 count fabric is a half an inch. It's less than half an inch.
It's like nothing.
So I do not care. I'm carrying those threads across the back because it's full coverage, so it covers it all up. You're never going to see those carried through. I do not carry threads on normal projects, and I never carry unless it's going to be covered up. I never carry threads across blank fabric on a regular project, and even
me neither.
I'll carry it over maybe 2 stitches, but usually I'll only carry it across the back across 1 stitch if it's blank fabric and it's not going to get covered up. But a HAED is completely different, which is why the back of mine looks like a rug. Because I will carry those threads forever. Oh, you should see it.
We should do like a back-to-back comparison.
Her backs are much neater than mine because I'm carrying threads everywhere. Anyway, so then I'll do all the threads of that color in that 10 by 10 square, and then I'll park it in the next square that I'm going to do where it's used next. Then I pick the next color and I do all the squares in that 10 by 10 square of that color, and then I park it. And yes, I'm having to move threads out of the way to do this stitch that's in the middle or down here at the bottom, but that doesn't bother me. I love the completeness of having that whole color done and then moving on. And I do that with all the colors that already have a parked thread. I do all the threads that are already hanging there first. And then quite often you'll have a couple of stitches that don't have a color yet. You haven't used that color yet anywhere nearby, so there's no parked thread for that. I save those for the very end in the 10 by 10 square, and that's when I start the new thread of a new color.
Oh my gosh,
and then park it in the next place.
Because then you'd have to start all those threads I can't do all the starts at once.
See, just proves the point that make your HAED your own, get the basic process down, and then do it the way you like
do
it.
However you're comfortable that you won't lose your mind.
Right.
Because it's really easy to do with the HAEDs. So
yes. And I think that was the only thing there. And then I'll talk about my French alphabet piece when I show that. Okay. Let's do finishes.
Yay! Finishes! Our favorite thing!
First. I'll do my finishes first. I don't have any finishes this week. Okay, Catherine, do you have any finishes? No, I don't have any. I have lots of whips. I don't have any finishes.
I have one finish.
Your finish makes up for all of mine for the last 10 years.
That's true. Mine's a big finish.
Huge.
It's huge.
Massive.
Oh my gosh. Finish of my life right
yes.
here. Oh my gosh.
Until your next HAED.
Yeah. Yeah. Which will happen, but not yet. Ta-da! I'm gonna have to stand up and make sure you can see all this. Still can't really see the whole thing in frame, but ta-da!
So it's a heaven and earth design pattern based on the artwork of James Christensen's painting called
it is his painting.
Faery Tales.
Faery Tales.
Is it F-A-E or
yes,
F-A-I?
It's F-A-E-R-Y Tales. So it's a little bit different,
But you can get the pattern from Heaven and Earth Designs from their website. They're the company that took the picture of a painting and made it into a cross stitch.
Yes. Their patterns are actually very high quality. I've been really pleased with the quality of the paper and just the way that they're done, and their symbols are pretty easy to read and everything. So it's been I
haven't even seen it in real life yet.
Yeah, you haven't even seen it.
She texted me a picture, but I haven't even seen the finish.
Yeah.
I get to see it all the time in progress.
That's true.
Even when she wouldn't show it to you guys, she would take it off for me so I could see it.
Occasionally. So yeah,
it is gorgeous.
It's amazing.
Show them the back. Show them the back.
Yep, you got to see the back. And you can see, if you want to see pictures of this, I put pictures of this on my Instagram account under insanity_stitcher. So you can see pictures of all of the progress. If you want to see like detail pictures, I've got a whole bunch of them on there. And then I've got the front picture and the back picture. I think I have one on there that has like a pen next to it for scale so you can see it. But the back actually turned out quite nice. And it's funny, you can see the different ways that I was trying to test it out in the beginning. Like you can see like it looks normal.
Oh, on the back.
Yeah. And like there's these spots right here where I tried to do, instead of doing like each complete X, I tried to do a whole bunch of legs and then go back the other way. And it makes the back look different. This was where I was trying to do, there was just a whole bunch of that same color right there in this blue sky, this blue-black sky. So I thought that was really interesting that it makes it a little bit different on the back.
But can you tell the difference on the front?
Nope. Can't tell the difference on the front. Looks exactly the same.
We had a lot of commenters asking her if the way she does it, you can see row lines on the front.
And I noticed
you cannot see lines on the front.
A little bit. I can see it a little bit like over. You can see it in the picture. When I posted on Instagram, I could totally see it. Like just in some sections.
The camera was picking it up?
Yeah, I don't know if it was just the lighting that I had it under or what, but it picked it up just a little bit.
In real life, I cannot see them.
You can see it. I can see it really good in like the water over here. I don't know if you probably can't even see it on this video, but I can see the grid lines, like the column lines through here. You can kind of, it just depends on the light, but
well, and part of the reason why you don't have those lines that people complain about that you can really see is because you're doing it in a snake.
Oh.
So when you when you showed in your video, you were right out down here somewhere.
Yep. It was right in this stone.
You had some red of his shoe, I think, right here. That you were working on.
Yeah.
And so you were stitching over here, and that red wasn't going to be used anywhere down here. So you went ahead and parked it over there. Yeah. So you finished your column and came down here, but all those colorful threads got carried across this way instead of down this way. So because you're doing it in a snake, and you quite often park a thread across into the snake over here instead of down, because you know it's not going to be used below.
It kind of lessens the column lines effect.
Your carried threads are crossing over all those lines all the time, so that would help it not be so. But you can definitely see the column lines on the back.
You can see the column lines on the back, but yeah, I guess you're right. They cross over quite a bit across the column, so it kind of lessens it, especially with these really heavy, like the really heavy colorful parts, like right here. There are no column lines in there because on the back they just carry and carry and carry, so.
But honestly, on the front, and I'm a stitcher and I know what I'm looking for, I cannot see those column lines.
Yeah.
If you knew and were looking for them,
then you could probably see them. But and I'm wondering if the pin stretching will help pull that a little bit too, to make it completely go away. But yeah,
for me, it's worth it because
I know
there's no way I'd finish the piece otherwise.
Yeah.
I mean, if I was doing total cross country, I can't. My brain can't handle all of that because then you end up with all of these onesie twosies at the end that you have to go fill in because there's so much confetti.
Yeah.
And even just to find the empty holes of what hasn't been filled in yet, and then figure out what color that hole right there. What is that hole on the pattern, and what color is it supposed to be?
Don't do it.
Oh, it's awful. Unless you have one that just doesn't have a lot of different colors in it. But I can't.
I watched the Needlebug Stitcher's video. I went back and found the one where
she does the diagonal method, right?
And I actually really like her method. I might do that.
So she has
on
a
the
channel?
next one that I do. Yes.
Called
She has a channel.
Needle Bug. Do you want to spell
Needlebug.
that? Isn't it got two
It's-
G's
no,
in it or
it's-
something?
I thought it was
B-U-G-G?
normal. I can't remember.
Needle Bug.
She does it a lot like I do, except I go straight down in my columns, and she goes in a diagonal column. So she still does a line at a time, but she goes in a diagonal. And I thought that was really...
Blitz
I thought
Stitch.
it was good.
Blitz Stitch, if you've seen his Autumn... Oh, he's doing Heaven and Earth Designs, and it's Autumn Magic, I think.
Oh.
But he does all of his pieces in diagonal rows. And he does a great video if you want to see that. He does a tutorial with pencil on a paper showing you exactly how he decides where to go next. It's awesome if you're
really
interested in the diagonal method. Because I think if you are really concerned about column lines, I think the diagonal... Do you think there's diagonal lines when you do it in the diagonal method?
See, that's what I got confused about the diagonal one, is if in my mind they were like doing it diagonally in lines.
And that's what
like
Blitz
this.
Stitch does. He does
what
it
he
in
does?
rows diagonally. So
I
then I
can't-
wondered if you had diagonal
I
lines.
can't wrap my head around that, because Needlebug does it. They're still horizontal lines, but they progress in a diagonal instead of going straight down like mine do.
Oh, that's what he does.
Is it?
I mean, he's
Okay.
going... Gosh, I don't
Sorry,
know.
guys.
I'd have to go watch his video again. I'm not sure.
Sorry,
That will
we
be
kind
your
of don't know
research.
where.
That's your
there you go.
assignment.
That's your homework. But those are the two people to look at. Needlebug and Blitz Stitch are the two people to look at if you want to do diagonal. But really, if you've got so much going on like I do on this one, it's really not noticeable unless it's...
I can't see
I think it's probably more noticeable when you only have a few colors.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you were only doing a few colors where it was all kind of, but even in my sections it's not really bad. But I don't know, do it however you decide. Look at my pictures, look at other people's pictures, and decide what you want to live with, because with HAED it's all about what you want to live with.
And yes, it does use up more floss to carry, to park.
It
To
does.
park and carry maybe an inch, 2 inches to the next place you're going to use it.
'Cause you
Uses
tend
up
to
more
zigzag
floss.
a little bit,
Because you're carrying it across the back so much, and you're going back and all over the place.
and you're not going to the
But
closest
I just look
stitch.
at it and go, it's DMC floss. I
Yeah.
already bought 90 plus skeins because it tells you right in the pattern that you're going to need 10 skeins of black and 8 skeins of dark blue, depending on what color you're... It'll tell you when you need more skeins of a color.
Yes.
But it's usually at least 90 colors plus the extras. So you've already bought 100 skeins of floss.
Yeah.
So if for some reason you actually went through a whole skein and had to... That's 50 cents.
Yeah,
That's worth it to me
Not bad.
to finish the piece and have it to work on it in a way that's comfortable to me,
Yes.
pleasing, easy for me to do.
Yes.
Because if I make it any more complicated than it already
Yeah,
is, it's
it's
never going to get
Never
finished.
gonna get done. It's gonna go into craft prison and never come out.
Okay, so how long did this piece take you?
Just about 11 years. It's almost been 11 years, I
Wow.
decided, because I think it was it was the spring of 08. I think you started yours in 07.
And if you had to guess a percentage of days that you did not
gosh.
work on it, do you think it's like...
Well, here's the thing, is I calculated it out, because it's about 250,000 stitches. It's about 260,000 stitches.
Wow.
A little more than. And so a 10 by 10 block takes me on average about an hour. Like the really confetti ones are a little longer than that, and the simpler ones are a little shorter than that. So on average, if you calculate an hour per 10 by 10, it turns into about 2,600 hours. So that is... And then I calculated it again, and it's a little over 100 days if you did 24-hour days.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like almost a year if you're just doing like an 8-hour day. So, if that gives you any indication about what percentage of my life I've worked on
those
this.
medieval stitchers who were seriously doing those huge tapestries in those castles, or a wedding gown for the queen, it's complete stitching. They really did have
They really-
like
that
8
was
or
their
10
full-time
stitchers,
job.
8 hours a day, all working on the same piece. I mean, wow.
Yeah, to get it done in any kind of
Wow.
regular time. But yeah, it was about 11 years. And it was funny too, because I remember the show that I was watching when I started it in my college apartment. It was this show called Pushing Daisies. I love it. So when I got down to the very end and I knew I had about 4 hours left, and it was like 11 o'clock at night. This is Sunday night, by the way.
Oh yes, what time of day did you finish this piece, Catherine?
Okay, so I had a plan. I had
Your
a
viewers
very
would like to know.
responsible adult plan that I was going to work on it on Sunday, and then I was going to put it down, and I was going to finish it on Monday night. I had a plan. And then it got to be about 11 o'clock on Sunday night, and I was looking at it, and I was like, oh no, I've got like 4 hours left on this project. Can I put it down and just like tempt the universe to stop me tomorrow, because
What if your house burned down or something? Wouldn't that be awful?
imagine? I was just picturing all these horrible things, like, because I work on it on the train. I'm like, if I'm working on the last few squares on the train, something bad is going to happen.
Somebody spills their
Yes,
coffee all over
yes,
it.
something. I was
just
like,
be tea-dyed.
I can't risk it. I can't risk taking this project out of the house so close to being done. Like, it's just tempting fate. It's just a bad plan. It's a bad plan. So I texted my boss. My bosses were in meetings all day yesterday and today. So I knew we didn't have a meeting on Monday morning like we usually do. So I was like, oh no, I have to do it. I have to finish it. So I texted him and I was like, hey, and they've seen this project, so they understand and like they know what the deal is with this project, that it's like a big deal. So I texted him. I was like, I have 4 hours left on this project. I'm going to stay up and finish it and then just come into work late tomorrow. He's like, oh yeah, that's fine. We're not even in the office because we're in this other office for meetings. I'm like, done. So then I drove to Wendy's and bought food because I knew I wouldn't be able to stay up for 4 more hours into the night without some real food and not just like whatever I had in my cupboard was just not going to cut it. So I went and bought Wendy's and I came back and I put on the same show because I remembered that I'd been watching that show and I was like, what am I going to watch for the last historic 4 hours of this project? And I was like, I have Pushing Daisies on DVD. I should watch that. So it was perfect.
Awesome.
It was peaceful. Like the house was silent because everybody else is asleep. So it's just me, like at 2 a.m. just like stitching the last few on. So, anyways.
So, original question: what time did you finish?
It wasn't quite 3 a.m. It was about 3 a.m. when I started sending out all the pictures, but it was like 2:40, 2:50 a.m. when I finally finished it. So it didn't actually end up being 4 hours later. Approximately, because some of them, it went a little bit faster towards the end because there was like this black section. I actually snaked, I wanted to, in my head, I've been picturing this whole time that I was going to come down and like this corner would be the very end.
Yeah.
But the way that it snaked out, the last line on here was actually going up instead of down. So I stitched like this corner and then I went up into like this little black section on this, the bottom of this bush right here. So it was,
which would be a lot less
kind of
colors.
funny. Yeah. So it was like a black fill-in section for the very end, which was appropriate because when I started it, it was like this black fill-in section. So I was like, this is just poetic and circular and I love it. So
is there a part on there that's your favorite? What's your favorite part of the picture?
My favorite part of this painting, because now that I know this painting in intimate detail, like I know every part of this painting now, is this giant up here in the corner. He's got this bag and it's got cows in it, and I just love it because they look. Because the way that he's carrying it,
full of cats.
yeah, it looks like it's cats or something, just because of the size, and they're in this bag and everything, but they're
Hold
cows.
it up. So
I love it.
right here in his bag, he's
Got
cows.
3 cows in there, and
And what fairy tale did we decide was a giant carrying a
I
bag
can't
of
remember.
cows?
I looked it up one time.
Is it
I need to
Tiny
look
Taylor?
it up again. It might be.
Oh, it is, because he's talking to the little man over here.
Yes,
I think it's the Tiny
there's a little
Taylor
man
fairy tale.
Yeah.
Now we need to go read it and find out
I
why
know.
there's a bag
I
of
want to read
cows
like all the fairy tales
in the
now,
Tiny
and-
Taylor fairy tale.
Because there's a few, like this one. Nobody actually knows what this is. Up here, there's like this
It's like
little
a
guy
planet in the sky.
He's like flying or something. I don't know. That one, there's a mystery. I know pretty much all of the stories except for that one. That
Okay,
nobody
we
knows
gotta
what it is.
go. My eye doctor down
And
in
this one.
Provo.
Nobody knows who this guy is down here in the corner either.
If you live in this area, at the Provo Hospital, the building behind the Utah Valley Regional Medical Center is Utah Valley Eye Center, I think is the name of it. And then my eye doctor is back behind there. They have this original painting on the wall. It's huge behind the reception desk. And they have so many people.
Have the key?
So many people ask about
They have
have
the
the key. So we need to go and see.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, we do because
Because if you buy the paint, if you bought,
if you
James
buy a
Christensen
print.
has passed away. But if you had bought from him, it came with a key telling you what
it
all
was.
of the fairy tales were.
And you used to be able to find it online, but I looked.
I know, I can't
everywhere,
find it
and it
anywhere
doesn't
either.
exist. So I'm really
So we have to
glad
go
they
in there
one.
and look at it.
And
Because
look.
I asked about it and once when I was in there and they told me that they had that.
Oh, that's so cool! I'm so excited now.
We were really lucky. Maybe if you showed him that, they'd let us make a copy of the key.
Yes. Oh, you're
You should bring
right.
it in and show him.
Oh, I will. Totally will. I have showed this to everyone who will look at me for longer than 3 seconds. But the reason I picked this one in the first place is because I love James C. Christensen and I love all of his work. And so I started it.
That whole eye center, the Utah Valley Eye Center,
has a bunch
all
of
the
his...
walls, everywhere in there, completely covered with James C. Christensen's paintings.
There are quite a few professional offices in Utah that have a lot of his artwork. And everywhere. He's not, you know, he's all over the world. But anyways, so I knew, you know, I was 19 at the time when I started this, and I loved his artwork. And I was like, well, it's going to be many, many, many years before I can afford to have something like this on my wall. But I can stitch one, and I can just put in a ton of time on this, and then I can have one. So now I can have this on my wall, and I can have what looks like a painting on my wall. I'm so excited about that. And it's kind of funny because I started it when he was alive, and then he passed away. Oh, I'm trying to remember. It was about 3/4 of the way through. I heard that he had passed away. I was like, oh, my heart. It made me really, really sad. So, and then a few of you have asked me, because Heaven and Earth Design, when I bought it, they only had one pattern size available, so I bought it. But now they have the mini version, and they have like the mega version. So I just have the middle version. I don't even know if you can read this.
Which was about 90 colors, was it?
Yeah. In fact, I can tell you.
There's a mega version that has like 250 colors.
Yeah. This is the 575 by 453
stitch count.
And it is on 25 count, what they called for.
25 count white even weave.
Yeah. And yeah, I believe it is about 90 colors.
They usually have two formats. They have right around 90 colors, and it's just the way they scan it and then tell the program how many colors they want to bring it down to. Or you can get the 200 something color version. And is there a mini version that has less?
There's a mini version. Yeah, I think it has less. I haven't looked at it yet.
Because the whole picture is just less colors.
It's just smaller,
so more
so
pixelated.
Yes.
Because it would have less colors, right?
Yeah.
And the 250 something color one would be less pixelated.
Yes, because it's bigger.
More color changes.
Yeah, I like the way that the resolution turned out. I don't love some of their faces. Like this lady's face is really creepy. And like when you're looking at it this close, it looks terrible. But when you look at it from this far away, it looks fine. So whatever. Pick whatever you want to live with is the moral of the story. And I was gonna show you, I had this is my pattern, my book pattern. And
Did we? Oh no, we bought it.
We bought it just as pages. And then you took it and had it spiral bound.
To FedEx or somewhere and had them put a spiral binding on it.
It's starting to come apart. This poor thing, now that it's like 11 years old, is starting to come apart. And like some of the pages have
Because what? You shoved it in and out of your bag like 100 zillion times.
This thing has been everywhere.
That's a number, 100 zillion.
100 zillions, totally legit. It's an accounting term.
Oh yes, where has this piece been to?
Oh my gosh, I can't even tell you all the places. This has been with me everywhere. This has been to California. It went on both moves with me to Texas. It went to Bear Lake.
Yes, it's been to the Bear Lake
more
beach,
times than I can
on
count.
The beach,
on the
right
beach,
next to the water,
on
watching
it. Yeah,
us swim.
Yeah, because I'm insane.
Probably been to Green River sand dunes.
Oh, totally. It's definitely
Green
been to
River,
Green River,
Utah sand dunes.
It's been to
probably
Strawberry
been to
River
Strawberry River where the cabin burned down.
Yep. Yep.
Backyards.
Oh yeah, everywhere. Countless people's houses. Trying to think what else. Yeah, trips to California.
Doctor's office. Do you usually take your stitching to the doctor's office?
I don't usually take it to that.
Work. It's been on the train.
There. Yeah.
We have a light rail. Is it light rail?
I don't know.
An express train that goes from here to Salt Lake City called Front Runner.
Yes. So I started stitching on the train, so that's been fun.
Do people on the train talk to you about
Yes, all the time. Like, I've got my huge headphones on, and they still will talk to me about it. I'm like, well, I guess I should expect that.
Are they stitchers, or are they people who don't stitch? They just want to know what in the world you're doing.
They just look over and they're like, wow, that's really cool. Thank you. And there was one guy, one of the train host guys came over, and he stood there, and I knew he was going to say something to me, so I like slipped my headphones off, and he was like, how do you not stab yourself? 20 years of practice, I don't know, like, I'm fine. And, it's not a sharp needle either, it's like a tapestry needle, too.
The front runner train is pretty smooth. Yeah. I mean, it slows down and speeds up.
Actually, there's quite a bit of, like...
Is there?
Just depending, and it depends on, like, where you sit on the car, and it depends on what part of the track you're on, but there's a few of them. Funny. And it depends, you can tell. You can absolutely tell when the engineer is, like, behind schedule or something, because they are flying. Like, the car's, like, rattling back and forth, and and the train is just flying because they're trying to make their schedule or whatever. And then there's the other ones that are kind of just moseying, like everything's fine. You know, there's maybe a train like too close in front of them. Like their schedule is always super weird, but I could tell on the days when they're booking it. So anyway,
you do not get car sick.
I don't.
She does not.
I don't get car sick.
I get car sick if this camera was moving. It would make me. I get car sick on anything that moves.
Yeah. So luckily, I didn't get that.
I would not be stitching.
Didn't get
the
the migraine gene. Didn't get the car sick gene. But I think we gave it. I think I gave it to my son. I think my son has a really bad car sick gene.
Oh, great.
Oh my gosh! I took him out of his booster seat. He used to be in like the 5-point harness car seat, right? So he was like strapped in, like can't go anywhere, and he was fine. You know, he'd get car sick at like once or twice in his whole, like all the years that we had him in it, and he finally hit weight to get in a booster seat. And like the second that he's in a booster seat and he can like move his body, because he never holds still. He never stops talking and he never holds still unless he's asleep. So for him to be able to move his body in the car is like this brand new world. And so, like, kid you not, 3 minutes into the car ride, Mom, I feel like I want to throw up. It's like, okay, so sit back and just look out the window.
So the good thing about having to be in a car seat strapped down until you're 40 pounds is that by the time you're 40 pounds, you have enough verbal skills to tell your mother you're going to throw up.
Yeah. So that's been really entertaining to find out that he gets super car sick. But yeah. Good. So I don't get car sick. Oh, I might have worked on it on an airplane once or twice. I don't.
Do you ever stitch in the car when somebody else is driving?
Yes,
you're not usually in a car. Do you?
Yeah, I stitched on the way to. I think I stitched on the way to Disneyland with my friend. And
I wish I could stitch in the car.
My ex-husband was always the one driving, so probably.
So you stitched in the car?
Yes, so I stitched in the car quite a bit. So yeah,
awesome.
So it's literally been everywhere. What was the other thing? Oh yeah, I won't show it to you because it's not allowed. But like this is my paper.
You can show me your list.
Oh, I can?
Just
my color list?
Colors.
This is my I've had to recopy this a couple of times because it keeps falling apart. But I just like fold it and put it in my color box. This is my color box. So these are all the colors that it has. And like my Ort section and my scissors.
Have you ever emptied, surely you've emptied the Ort pile.
Yes.
How many times have you had to empty the Ort pile?
I don't even know. I couldn't tell you. Like quite a few. Merrick was in here the other day, like sticking his fingers in it. I'm like, stop! You're gonna get warts on the couch, and they'll never go away. Anyways, so yeah, I got my scissors in here. But yeah, it's really simple. It's a really simple setup for just. I was surprised that all of the colors would fit in this one box, but it's been my trusty companion these many years. Yes. So I just, I had my box. It was always my box, and then stacked on top was my pattern, and then stacked on top of that was like the frame, because I had it on Q-snaps the entire time in a bag.
In a tote bag, a canvas tote bag.
Who knows how many bags? Yeah, there've been lots and lots of bags. Just a tote bag.
Not the same bag? You kept putting it in different bags.
Different bags all the time. In fact, all of the years that I was in school, I had it in my school logo bag to remind me that I needed to do school and not stitch all the time. So for the last year of my accounting degree, I could only stitch on Sundays. Like Sundays was the day that I wasn't going to study, and I was just allowed to stitch for the whole day, and it was really, really nice. So, but I kept it in my school bag for a while to remind me to do school instead because it was online. So I'm trying to think what else is interesting about this piece.
I think we're just going to make this a separate video. I'll stop and start again to do my whips. This is just going to be the HAED finish video.
There you go. I can see, like, I can look at this project because I've been working on it for so long and see the different places where we've lived. Like, I'll have, like, little flashes of memory. Oh, so I was going to tell you about the timeline a little bit. So, like, I started it in 2008, and I probably got... Gosh, I don't know.
I was going to tell him. If you're going to start Heaven and Earth Design, somebody else said this. It wasn't me. Someone else on their channel talked about that. Date. I'm telling you later, you're gonna care. When you finish a page, write the date at the bottom of the page or something.
Or when you start.
Because it is so fun to go back and see, like, this year was horrible, but this year I got a whole bunch of pages done.
And there were definitely years that I worked on it quite a bit, and there were years that I didn't work on it at all. So, like, from 2008 to 2012, I probably got, like, this very top, like, just the top row, like, not even half of the way down between 2008 and 2012, because I was working on so many other things, and it was just really boring and really, really slow. So then in 2012, I decided to start working on it for serious, and I got all the way to the end of this page that year, and then I got the second whole row done that year too. and then I got pregnant, and then...
And was working.
And so then I was doing the third row down here, I remember that I was working on, because we lived here for a little while. I lived with my parents for a little while I had my baby. I remember I was working on this section over here, because I remember Mama Bear had like this white shawl thing on, and I was working on this third row, and I had a sudden nosebleed. Like, it was the weirdest. It has never happened to me like that before. Usually I can totally feel it coming, and this one was just like this perfect drip of blood just like out of my nose onto the fabric. Luckily it was down below where I wasn't working yet, and so I was just working above, but it was just like this heart attack moment, like, there's just blood on this project. Like, it was a horrible, horrible moment, but luckily I lived here. So, in fact, I lived in this very room.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I did. I was sitting right there when it happened, and so I went out.
It was not the sewing room then.
Yeah,
I pulled all my sewing stuff out and put it somewhere else.
Yeah, we had all of our stuff in here. Oh, it was a mess. It was, weird days. So I ran out of here into the rest of the part of the house. Like, Mom, what do I do? I have blood on it. So we put, like, what did we do? Like, hydrogen, we held it up and, like, it put hydrogen peroxide on it.
So it wouldn't get anywhere on the stitching.
Yeah. I was just so thrilled that it didn't bleed up into that white section. That, you know, because if it was, like, dark trees or whatever, you probably wouldn't even be able to tell. But because it was right next to her, like, white clothing, I was like, oh, no, I've ruined it. This is the end. But it was fine. Everything was fine, and it looks fine now, and nothing bad happened. It was just a moment of where the universe was testing me, like, do you really want this? Because we're gonna find out if you really want this. And so, let's see, so that was 2013-ish, and then I was working on I remember hanging out with a friend who became really close to me when I was working on this roof part right here. I remember being in her living room while I was working on this roof.
Isn't that funny how...
Yeah.
On projects, you remember where you were sometimes when you were working on it?
Not for the whole thing, but like I remember that I was watching a specific show, like when I was working on these cliffs over here. I don't know why my brain made that a random association. Or like the sky will always remind me of like the living room of the apartment that I was living in when I was unemployed for a month. That was super fun. And then like little things. There's a couple other shows that I was watching with another friend while I was working on like this fish and like this dog. There was a couple of shows that I was watching at the time that I still remember. And then of course last summer I was down to like the 5th row. It has 60 pages in all, so, and it's like 10 pages a row. So I got down to this part right here when I decided I was just gonna do nothing else in my life except finish this project. So then I went, oh wait, this way, all the way to the end, and then I started on the last row and went all the way to the end, and that's when I started posting on Instagram. So you can see all of the updates from here to the end, and then the last row to the end, to the end. So yep, I took it into work yesterday, and that was really, really fun, because this is one of those things that like even non-stitchers can appreciate. Like you take it up and show them, they're like, you made this?
Yeah.
Like, you made this?
Yeah.
Did you have a pattern, right? I'm like, yes, I had a pattern. This didn't just come out of my head. I'm not magic. I'm just a stitcher.
Wow.
So it's kind of fun because I'm an accountant. So I'm like, this is why I became an accountant. This is why this is my skill set.
Because this
like,
makes me happy.
Yes, exactly. Putting all it's like, I know what I tell people is it's just like paint by number except with thread. It's exactly like that.
And it's like filling in all the boxes.
Yes.
All 250,000 boxes. You filled in all quarter of a
million
million
of the boxes. Check off those boxes just one by one. Yep, the magic of consistency right here. Yep. They're like, that's your superpower. I'm like, heck yes, that's my superpower. I'm going to claim that. That's my superpower. Let's see, what else? Told you the fabric it was on.
Gorgeous. I know, we told him the pattern. I was trying to think, what else might someone ask?
This was the hardest part. The hardest part was this gingerbread house.
Hansel and Gretel.
Hansel and Gretel's gingerbread house, because the roof is a mess. That roof gave me fits because it was like a color change every single stitch. Like having 2 stitches together that were the same color was a miracle, because that never happened, because the dumb roof is full of candy and it's just, and it looks gorgeous, but it was a nightmare. And I'm surprised, like on the roof of this house, that you can see when you're working on it really close, it doesn't look like it's going to be anything, but then you pull it back and you can actually see the roof tiles. I was really impressed that detail came out. Like a lot of the a lot of like the nuances of his painting have come out of this, and I really, really like it. Because, you know, when it's on the wall, it looks like an art piece. It's heavy.
Yeah, well, it's thick fabric now with all the stitching on it. I mean, the fabric itself is, you know, your nice, soft, regular, even weave. But with all that solid stitching on there, it's like coat fabric or something. It's like a really heavy canvas or something. That's really interesting.
Yeah, and it's really fun to go to work, and they're like, "Can I touch it?" I'm like, "Please, are you kidding me? It's filthy. It is filthy." Like, especially on the back. The back is the worst, and you can't really see it in this lighting very well. But there are like lines of like where my hands have just gripped it over the many years, and
because we always folded it over so that you were only touching the back side when you stitched it.
Yeah, so it's fun to go up to people like that.
Gosh, I don't know if I'd wash it.
No, I'm not gonna wash this. I'm just gonna frame it and pretend like it doesn't
frame it right up
exist.
Close to the edge.
I'm gonna mat it and frame it. Picking out a frame is gonna be impossible. Can you imagine? I can't pick a frame for this. So we'll figure it out. But it's just funny to go up to them and do stuff like this. And they're like, "No, don't do that." Like, this thing is indestructible by now. Like, it's not going anywhere. Like, it's very, it's
as
solid.
long as nothing happens at your house.
Yeah.
You're doing now. And...
Yeah, exactly. I know, right?
So when there's a fire at your house, you're going to grab your purse and that.
I'm going to grab my child and I'm going to grab
all right. Your child and then this.
Yeah, my purse would probably be a good one. My house right now is kind of weird because I live with my sister, so it's like my house is kind of split up in the different rooms that I have, so that might be a trip. But yeah.
You're going to have to grab this out of this part of the house, then run clear to the other end of the house where her other rooms are, and then, and get the child on the way. Yeah. Now, Marie will probably grab your child, so you're good.
Maybe, yeah. No, she's got to go all the way upstairs to get her child.
No, they'll be together. Wherever they are, they'll be together.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
All right. Should we end this saga?
So there you go.
Saga.
Let me know if I didn't answer any questions or anything else you want to know about this project, because it has been like the project of my life. So then the next most popular question is,
oh, yes.
Are you going to start another one?
Yes. What are you going to stitch next?
Yes, I am. But
is it going to be Heaven and Earth design, do you think, or is it going to be something else?
I'll probably do a few simpler ones for the time being. Like, I'll do that. I really, really like the Rosewood Manor Dreaming of Sunflowers, because sunflowers are my favorite, and so I really want to do something with that. And there's like a couple other ones that I have too. Like, I have this really cute alphabet sampler one that I never did. That might be really fun. So I'll probably knock out a bunch of simple ones that I've always wanted to do, but have just felt like I can't do another thing on top of this. So I'll probably do a few of those, and then like, I know everyone's watching The Magic of Tidying Up or whatever on Netflix right now, so I'll probably KonMari my house and work on some other. I'll probably I need to get back into, like, I cleaned the whole house today and it was amazing. I've been putting it off for months because I've just been like sprinting to the end of the finish. You know, like deep cleaning, like cleaning the toilets and like wiping down the mirrors and stuff. I did all of that today. So that was like, I just feel so much better now. So yeah, so I'm gonna organize my house and get rid of a bunch of junk and do a bunch of other stuff, and then probably, I give it less than 2 years, I'll have started another HAED. So watch out for that.
I thought you were going to say started another cross stitch, and I was going to say 2 years.
No, started another HAED.
And of course, you'll be working on my pieces.
Yes, actually.
In April, May for my birthday and Mother's Day.
So maybe that'll be the next thing that I'm working on.
We'll definitely have her on here again when she starts something, so she can tell you what she drew her in.
I can just be on here to heckle you.
Yes, and we could just have her on to be Vanna White and hold all my stuff while
keep
we
her accountable for her cross-stitch debt. I can be here for that. So I'll definitely be back, and I'll definitely probably keep posting stuff on my Instagram account, because it's like a separate cross-stitching Instagram. I have like my regular Instagram and then my stitching Instagram, because it's different. So yeah, so there you go. Let me know if I didn't cover anything. Thanks for all of your comments and all of your positive feedback, and we will see you next time.
And I think we should give you a cheer or something. A woohoo or something. Because you finished.
Oh.
Woohoo!
It's like on Dave Ramsey where they all go to like his studio and they're like, we're debt free.
Yeah, like that.
I'm HAED free.
All right, we will see you again soon. Bye.